Hey trainers, you have Pokémon Master TC. Growing up, I loved watching the anime, and one of my favorite episodes was when Ash would take on a gym leader. It was always must-see TV for me, and I always made sure that I never missed any of these episodes. And since then, I have rewatched a lot of these gym battles, and gym battles were always a big deal because that meant that Ash was going to get a new badge, and that likely meant that there was going to be a pretty epic Pokemon battle in the episode. So for today, I've decided to rank all 8 gym leaders in the anime based on how much I like them. And I'm doing this through a variety of factors with the Pokemon they had, the coolness factor, their intimidation factor, and just how much I like them overall. So these are my opinions. I'm sure you have your own, but again, these are my rankings of the 8 gym leaders in the anime. Pokemon changed my life. It became my first addiction. The TV show, games, cards, and toys. I was enamored by it all. Becoming a Pokemon master was all that I cared about as a kid. And so, I became one. Join me, Pokémon Master TC, as I relive the most nostalgic part of my childhood and showcase my Pokemon collection, and most important of all, share my love of Pokemon with you. All right, trainers, before we get into this, make sure you hit that sub button so you don't miss any of my Pokemon rankings, and you can also check out discussions that I've done on the Pokemon franchise. All right, coming in at number 8, I have Erika from the Celadon City Gym. Now, there's nothing against Erika. She just wasn't my favorite growing up. You have to remember, I was a 10-year-old boy when I was watching this, and Erika was pretty girly. In fact, Ash had to dress up as a girl to get access to Erika. And I remember being a little bit disappointed in the fact that Ash gets a badge for saving Erika's gym. He doesn't really battle her Gloom, which would have been really cool because Gloom really stunk in that episode, and I would always be curious to see how Ash would have pulled that off. And so I think Erika is a super nice girl, but super nice isn't going to get you very far on this list. I have Erika at number 8. Coming in at number 7 might be a little bit of a hot take. I have Misty as my 7th best gym leader from the anime. Now don't get me wrong, as a character, I absolutely love Misty. Misty is one of my favorite characters of all time. But when it comes to being a gym leader, well, she doesn't quite cut it above the rest. So in that episode, Ash goes to Cerulean City to find, the Cascade Badge. And he discovers that the gym leaders there, which are Misty's sisters, aren't really interested in battling because they just got whooped on by a bunch of kids from Pallet Town. And then they see Ash coming in and they just kind of figure it's going to be more of the same. So instead of Ash just getting the badge, Misty decides to challenge him herself for the Cascade Badge. And I like the battle between Butterfree and Staryu, but I was disappointed in Pikachu because Pikachu refused to battle Misty. Even though Pikachu would have been super effective, it probably would have been a breeze for Ash to defeat Misty, but the overall factor of having Misty come in as a substitute and take on Ash, it kind of put a little bit of a fizzle on the gym battle. And so while I love Misty, Misty's intimidation factor isn't above the rest. And so Misty is the 7th best gym leader from the anime. My next entry was very tough to choose where to put it in the 8 entries because this is a substitute gym leader and it's not really a gym leader in the games. I'm talking about when Team Rocket battles Ash for his last badge. So in the episode, Ash is supposed to battle Giovanni, who is the leader of Team Rocket, and that would have been epic. That would have been so cool to see Ash take on Giovanni, but Giovanni has to leave to take care of some business that involves Mewtwo. But in the episode, you see Gary take on Giovanni before Ash, and then Ash kind of stumbles into the gym, and he finds out that Team Rocket, meaning Jesse, James, and Meowth, have been put in charge. And so Ash has to battle them, and they did have a little trick up their sleeve where the trainers feel what the Pokemon feel, and so it was really affecting Ash whenever his Pokemon would get hurt. Now, if Giovanni would have battled Ash for his final badge, that would have been the highest of stakes, and it probably would have been number 1 or number 2 based on how much I enjoyed the battle and the gym leader. But unfortunately, Team Rocket was the one to take on Ash, and they don't use their own Pokemon, they use Giovanni's Pokemon from his gym, which helps them out a little bit, but in the end, it's Team Rocket. They're not that intimidating, they're not that cool, but they are going to be my entry at number 6. Now we are getting into some epic battles and gym leaders, and you guys are probably going to disagree with this one, but I have Blaine at number 5, and let me explain why. The battle itself is so epic. You have Charizard, you have Magmar, you have Pikachu. Inside that volcano, that was probably the best and the coolest atmosphere. But I'm not doing it based on the atmosphere. I'm doing it on the gym leader. And Blaine in the anime, he kind of comes off as this weird hippie who's asking questions. He pretends to not really know anything. And to me, he just wasn't really intimidating. It was his gym that was intimidating. Fighting Pokemon in the middle of a volcano, it did not get more epic than that. But Blaine himself, I didn't find cool. I didn't find like he was much of a factor. And so while I love his gym setting, Blaine himself, I don't know, he's definitely in the middle of the pack. And so that's why I have Blaine as my number 5 choice. Let's get into the top 4 gym leaders of the anime with number 4, and that's going to be Koga. Now Koga, I think he's really cool as he's a ninja. He kind of lives, or his gym is a ninja funhouse where Ash and everyone else was kind of struggling to get by it. And I also like the factor that Koga had an apprentice, and she challenges any trainers that get in there, and she makes sure that they are worthy of fighting Koga. Now, Koga had a Venonat, and it would end up evolving into a Venomoth, and I thought that was cool, but Koga, he's kind of no nonsense. He's old school, and I liked his overall intimidation factor for Ash. I think Koga is probably the most underrated gym leader from the anime, and he gets overlooked a lot, but for me, he sneaks into the top 4 with the fact that he has that cool gym, he's just like a no-nonsense gym leader, and him and Ash had a very solid battle. It is starting to get good with these gym battles and these gym leaders. Coming in at number 3 is Brock. So when Ash is just starting off his journey, he goes to Pewter City, he learns of the gym leader Brock, and Brock is super intimidating. I loved the fact that he had a mammoth Onix. And one of the coolest things in the episode was when the rock field comes together and Ash and Pikachu are running to escape the middle of it. It was just so intimidating to see Brock just flip on a switch and have that happen. His Pokemon of Geodude and Onix, they're a good duo, but Brock himself was very intimidating, and he didn't he didn't joke around. He really didn't let loose. He didn't let his shield down until later episodes when he joins Ash. But to see him defeat Pikachu, to see him defeat Ash, and to see Ash rise above that by supercharging Pikachu with that water wheel, that was awesome to watch. And I love that episode. I really enjoy Brock as a character, and to see his epic gym, to see that first showdown where Ash really has something to prove, that was special. Brock is a great gym leader, and it was awesome to watch him. At number 2, I have Lieutenant Surge. When you start this episode, you see all of these Pokemon being rushed into the Pokemon Center. They're all in critical condition, they're all fainted, and you hear of Lieutenant Surge and his unstoppable Raichu. It was amazing to see it in action, and this was the first time where you really saw Pokemon get hurt a lot in gym battles. And then so the plot of the episode is that Ash and Pikachu need to determine whether they can defeat Raichu as a Pikachu. And they learn that there are advantages to not evolving, and that includes quickness and agility. And Ash uses that to defeat Raichu and to defeat Lieutenant Surge. I love Lieutenant Surge in the anime. He's a huge hulking human, and it was kind of funny to see him joke around with Ash. He's always calling him baby, and he thought Misty was going to challenge him. But to know Lieutenant Surge's backstory of him being in the army, that just adds another cool element to him as a gym leader. And Lieutenant Surge, probably the coolest gym leader. I really have a lot of respect for Lieutenant Surge, and the battle between Pikachu and Raichu and the gym being blown up, that was awesome. We've made it, trainers, to my number 1 spot for the coolest gym leader from the first season of Pokemon. I think this is going to be the general consensus, but how can you top Sabrina? Sabrina was so incredibly intimidating. First, when Ash arrives, there's just some weird stuff going on. He's warned that he shouldn't be at the gym. And Sabrina is so powerful as a psychic that she doesn't even speak. She has this weird little doll in front of her, and the doll kind of unleashes her emotions. It kind of talks for her. You later learn that the doll was kind of her subconsciousness, and it was a visual of her as a little girl. But Sabrina was so dangerous because she literally transforms Ash, Misty, and Brock into dolls. She puts them in her dollhouse. And I remember watching that, and as a kid, like, how the heck are they gonna get out of this? Like, how is Ash ever going to defeat Abra and Kadabra and Sabrina? And it's one of my favorite episodes because while there are creepy episodes in Pokemon, Sabrina tops the entire list because Ash goes on this arc of needing to find a way to defeat her. And so he goes to the Pokemon Tower, he finds Haunter, he convinces Haunter to kind of follow him, and in the end, while the battle was a letdown because essentially Haunter makes Sabrina laugh so she can't battle, I still think that Sabrina is the most awesome gym leader from season 1. Her intimidation factor is off the charts. She even transformed her own family into dolls. And if I was in Ash's shoes, I would have some serious second thoughts into taking on Sabrina. But one of the good things about Ash, or I guess it's a good thing, bad thing, is that he is so hard-headed and he is so determined to become a Pokemon master that he often puts himself and sometimes others in danger. And that is exactly what he did with his battle between himself and Sabrina. So, those are my rankings of the gym leaders from the anime. I want to hear from you, trainers. What are your thoughts on the gym leaders? Who's your favorite? Who's your least favorite? And do you agree with my opinion? And again, this is just an opinion. I don't expect everyone to agree, but I would love to hear from all of you. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on the best gym leaders from the anime. And while you're there, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel to help me grow. And I've got plenty of Pokemon discussions coming. I've got plenty of Pokemon rankings coming. And I have on my channel Pokemon of the Week. It's a series where I dive deep into a Pokemon from the first generation and discuss their episodes, their movesets in the game, and their trading card games, and just my overall thoughts on them. So make sure you hit that sub button so you don't miss any of that. Thanks for watching, trainers. I've had a blast. Don't forget to catch them all.